All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to my next review. Before I get started, because I'm going to be reviewing a couple different things, I want to call back to a review that I did back in April of this year, and I'll put the link in the video so you can refer back to it if you want to watch it. But and it was for a generator that I was using to supplement the power for my Solix F3800, which is the device that you see here in the background. And you know, solar generators are great. They provide quiet, clean power, but you know, they can only be charged by certain AC sources, right? And if you're in the middle of a hurricane or a long power blackout, you're not going to have AC power coming in to recharge them, so you have to have some other source, and that can be either solar panels, but if it's cloudy, there's not going to be much solar. So your only other option would be, you know, some type of gas generator. So anyway, I got this gas generator to charge the solar generator via the AC cable, which is this cable here, and it works just fine. The problem, and you'll see in the other video, is that when the first generation Solix generator, if you charge it via AC, it disables all of the 240 volt connections that are on the other side of the generator. And it also disables 1/2 of the 120 volt connections, basically just as a pass through of a maximum of 1800 watts charging to 3 outlets on the other side, which is not very handy if you're trying to run a whole house off of this guy. It doesn't matter what your battery capacity is. if you can only use 3 outlets out of the 6 120s and a 30 amp and a 50 amp that's on the other side, then you're kind of stuck. So anyway, I wanted to find a solution to that, and I was on the forums for some time, and folks were using chargeverters and a bunch of other stuff, and I said, you know, those are good ideas, but if I'm going to use a chargeverter that's going to, you know, like an EG4 chargeverter that's going to run me $650, $750 for one of those, why don't I just add more battery capacity, right? So that's where this guy comes in. So the ElekTech battery that you see here is a lithium 48 volt lithium iron phosphate battery, and it's a 5,000 watt hour battery. So it's a very large battery, large capacity battery. What I've got on my Solix right now, I've got 11.4 kilowatts on here. So this is a 5 kilowatt battery. So this gives me another 5 kilowatts on top of the 11.4 that I have on my Solix right now. So, you know, it adds a significant amount, you know, 50% more capacity to my Solix, but for a fraction of the price. You know, the cost of one of these cells, one of the Solix cells that you see here, these run retail $2,400. You know, I actually got these two here during Amazon Prime days, but directly through Anchor Solix, and I got them for $1,200 a piece. But that's still expensive, even if you can get them for half price, right? That's $1,200 a piece, and these are only 3.8 kilowatt hour batteries. So this is a 5 kilowatt battery. So you're getting much larger capacity, but this guy is only $700, $650. So significant cost difference between this battery and the Solix expansion batteries. Now, the negative of this battery is that it's not going to give you a state of charge inside of your Solix generator, right? It's going to connect via this cable, and I'll show everybody how I configured this. But it's going to use this XT60 connector, connect to one of the two XT60 ports on here, and basically give you the ability to charge your Solix from this battery. But because it's 48 volt and this is a 48 volt, there's no conversion between the two, right? Because it's native, they're both using the same voltage. So you're really just passing 48 volts from here into here, and then the inverter that's in here, really the inverter that's inside of the Solix really doesn't have to do a whole lot, because the battery is already at the right voltage. So it can pass that charge directly into its own internal batteries and the expansion batteries that are sitting on top of it. So there's not a whole lot of power loss between the two that you're getting there. This has its own BMS, which can be completely controlled via an app. So that's good, right? You've got an internal BMS that you can turn the charge and discharge on and off. You can see the individual cells, voltages, all that kind of stuff. It's a really good, inexpensive way to expand and add capacity to your Solix, or really any other kind of solar generator, right? Or even build a battery farm with these guys in serial or parallel. All right, so getting back to our solution, we know that when we plug into AC, we're limited as to what we can use on our Solix generator. So to get around that, you have to charge the device using a solar input. Well, once again, solar may not always be available. Cloudy, nighttime. That's where this guy comes in. Because you're plugging into the solar port, now the Solix thinks it's getting an external solar source of power. So now all of your other ports that are on the other side of the Solix generator are now available. Your 240 volt, your 6 120s, your 30 amp, 50 amp, all of those are available on the other side. Nothing gets disabled, which is great. So you're like, okay, problem solved, except that this port is only inbound. These two ports are only inbound ports. So they only allow power to go in. They don't send power back out to recharge his battery. So how do you charge his battery? Aha! Here comes the second part of the solution. The form charger. So this guy right here is a golf cart smart charger, and this is their kind of their top of the line one here. So this one will do lead acid. Maybe you can see that it can do lead acid, lithium ion, or AGM batteries. And of course, the only thing I care about is the middle one, which is the Life P04 battery charging. And this guy is, obviously you can't see from the video, but this is a hefty piece of hardware. This is built solidly. This company has been doing this, I believe they said on the website, for a long time. I didn't get the exact date when they started building these things, but this thing is solid. It's a solid brick of power. I use this in my testing. I completely discharged this battery into the Solix. And by the way, this guy can do 100 amps. Actually, it's got a 200 amp BMS in it. So this port here, and I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth, but this port here can do a maximum of 25 amps at 60 volts, which is, I believe, about 1,200, 1,400 watts of power that it can intake. I have to actually do the math later. This battery has no problem providing. This guy can actually put out up to 5,000 watts of energy at any time. So it's literally like one fourth of the amount of energy this guy can output can come into these ports here. So actually, technically, I could feed both ports and do like 2,400 watts into the solar generator. But I think there's a limitation inside the Solix where you can't have a shared ground, so it won't take the power off a shared ground device, and that's a limitation of the Solix. But if I had two of these batteries, I could actually feed 1,200 watts, or I could feed 2,400 watts into this solar generator from the battery if there wasn't a limitation of the shared ground. Nonetheless, you still have the problem. How do you charge this guy? Once again, you come to this guy. So what I did is I modified this golf cart generator, and included a 120 volt connection. So I spliced that in there so I can power directly from an AC input. So in other words, this gets plugged into the generator. The generator provides power to this guy, and then via a Anderson, I'll put this up to the camera, an Anderson power pole connection right here. This plugs in, and I splice, I ran this in as well too. So I've got Anderson power pole input connection here. So these two guys connect. He's getting power from the generator into the battery. And then this power pole connector to XT60 gets plugged into this 30 amp fused out connector, which I set up on the battery, and that goes into the XT60 connector on the Solix battery, and that powers the battery. So now you basically have the ability to charge this guy from either an AC source via the golf cart charge verter, or another solar generator, or a gas generator, and providing the power to charge this guy up, and then overcoming the limitation that the Solix generator has in regards to AC inputs. So between these two items here, the ElekTech battery and the form charge verter, this one's about $300, about $650. So you're talking almost $1,000 between these two. But again, you could go out and buy an EG4 charge verter, and that's going to run you $650 to $750. So really, for about $250 to $300 more, I was able to add 5,000 kilowatt hours of battery capacity to my Solix, which translates into close to another 24 hours of uptime to this guy, for 1/3 the cost of an expansion battery for this guy. And once again, I remind you, the expansion batteries for this device are 3.8 kilowatt hour batteries. So significantly larger battery, far less expensive, and the whole solution together is still 1/3 the price of a single expansion battery for the Solix. I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat it. That's it. That's an awesome solution. And the reason I wanted to do the video so people could see the products, but also have somebody actually show you how this whole setup works, because I myself have been looking into this for months, and I couldn't find a single video or a single forum where actually somebody spelled this whole thing out. There were people that talked about charge verters, they talked about external batteries, but nobody put the whole solution together, which was surprising to me. I'm sure people have put it together, they didn't bother to write it into the forum or do a video. So now, now you have a video of this solution that actually works. Now, I'm not going to put everything, because both batteries are fully charged right now. So, which I just finished doing that this week, and I recharged everything via solar. So what I did is I charged this guy with this guy, and then I charged this, and then I charged this guy with this guy. So basically, I charged the Solix with the ElekTech battery. Then I charged the ElekTech battery via the golf cart charge verter back into the ElekTech solar, just so I could see the testing. And now I'm almost fully charged, recharged the Solix via solar. That's why you see these two XT60 connectors, because they're going out to my solar panels. So they are actually charging this guy here. So I haven't used any grid power at all. And in this, it's all been solar power and battery power. And I did do a test with my generator, and was able to, I ran the generator for about an hour, and I partially charged this guy from the generator using the charge verter. So everything works. The whole solution works. If and when we get hit by a major power outage or a hurricane comes through or whatever, I know I have a solution that works, because I've tested it. It actually operates exactly the way that I want it to operate. So that being said, I think I've got everything covered on this solution here. And for a review of these products, once again, both of these, the battery and the charge inverter, are solid components, very well built. This guy comes with a 5-year warranty. This guy comes with a 1-year warranty. And, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better solution for this. So, all right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope that makes you, gives you information, helps you make an informed decision on how you're going to deal with your solar charger, or whatever solution you want to do that involves a solar generator, a charge inverter, and an external large capacity 48-volt battery. All right, we'll see you on the next review.